Is it true that size actually matters? In this video, I want to explore why Black Caribbeans have more wealth than Black Africans. So some really interesting data from the ONS. The median household wealth for a white British person is £314,000. For the Black African family, it's £34,000. For the Black Caribbean family, it's £85,000. Yes, both groups are significantly behind, but the reason why one has 85,000 and the other has 34,000 is completely different. So not all Black people are the same. So some government data shows that around 22% of Black African households own their own home, compared to 31% Black Caribbean households and 70% for white households. So effectively, that means 8 out of 10 African families are renting. Going back to the ONS, and I wish I could show it up somewhere, but I don't have those technical abilities. But according to the ONS, the Office of National Statistics, the median property wealth for Black Africans and Black Caribbeans is zero. Big fat zero. The simple reason why there is a disparity, a significant disparity at 22% home ownership within the Black African household and 31% between the Black Caribbean household, we have to go back and look at the history. Now, I know many people say history doesn't matter, look forward to the future, but this will help you understand the disparity. Black Caribbeans started settling into the UK around the 1950s. Many would work in transportation, healthcare, but they would also build their lives here early. But they were also kind of frozen out, locked out, maybe a better word, of home ownership, of property ownership. So when right to buy boomed in the 1980s, many of the Caribbeans who had settled here 20, 30 years previous, many of them managed to buy their council homes, which is why their home ownership rate is at 31 in comparison to 22 with the Black African households, because the Black African households started arriving in the 80s and the 2000s. So they had significantly missed the boat. I don't know if I'm going to get in trouble for that. It wasn't an intentional pun. But when they came in, house prices had already exploded, but wages were stagnant. There hadn't been any real wage growth, which then made the cost of buying a property, in fact, the last thing on your mind because you're focused on survival. Sometimes it's important to understand from a historical context timing. A group had a 30-year opportunity, then another. So from a financial side, the average first-time buyer deposit for a white British household is around £40,000 to £46,000. For Black Africans, it's £36,000. For the Black Caribbean buyer, it's around £21,000. So if you look at this data, it doesn't show laziness, it doesn't show inadequacy. It shows that all three parties that we're talking about are trying to get on the property ladder, but they start with significantly less capital. Now, some people will say, well, my parents haven't given me any money. We're talking about the median. So this is important because there will be someone that says, well, what about me? This is the median. Many of the Black and the Caribbean property aspirants, I don't even know if that makes sense, many of those who are trying to get on a property ladder in the Black African or Black Caribbean communities very often don't have any support from mums and dads. There's no inheritance to lean on. And as I mentioned in one of my previous videos, the ONS, the Office of National Statistics, God, at this point, they might as well sponsor this video, right? Shows that over half of the Black households have zero net property wealth. That's so scary, which means they do not own a property that will appreciate over time. And if we want to go a little bit deeper, the data would anger some of you. The fact that Black households are twice as likely to rent from the council or social housing, which is an ultimate recipe for stagnation or survival, if I'm being fair. I want to emphasize, I'm not saying just go and buy a property. That's oversimplifying. But what are some of the things that we can put in place to improve these percentages? We honestly need to have a conversation about a shift, a move from consumption to accumulation. We need to have discussions about pooling our money together, collective buy-in, teaching and talking about financial education and literacy, and an extreme focus in this generation, an active focus on investing in assets that will appreciate over time and not depreciate. Because if this cycle doesn't change, the next generation will be watching the same video and there'll be no change and there'll be lots of frustration. But we've got to do something about it. The numbers simply don't lie. The Black African and the Black Caribbean community are significantly behind when it comes down to Britain's wealth race or wealth game or wealth accumulation. The truth is, once you understand property, investing, assets, liability, all of these financial terms, once you understand them better, you can play this game better and you stand a greater chance of winning. Hey guys, if you get any value from this video, I would love to hear your thoughts and questions in the comment section below. Catch you in the next one.